Pardesi Beats. What's up, everybody? You guys are watching and or listening to Pardesi Beats Unplugged. We've got a brand new show for you guys today. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about some interesting things that a lot of people were sort of involved in the last maybe year and a half, 2 years, perhaps in the next year as well. And what I'm talking about is things to do during the pandemic. But this is not solely for the pandemic. This is sort of a little bit broader because I want to go beyond just pandemic and talk about, what are some of your favorite things to do? Maybe what are some of your favorite things that you haven't done that you want to do? And sort of one thing that maybe you did that was different that you haven't done that perhaps you want to continue doing or get back into, or something that you used to do and you want to get back into. So it's going to be a little bit of like, we're going to start it with sort of what you did in the pandemic to keep yourself busy, keep yourself sane. A lot of people I know, they had cabin fever. And so before I get onto the rant about the topic itself, I want to introduce our guests and hosts, our permanent guests that live in this house. We have Emtadwal and we have Kushwant Singh. What's up, guys?
Not much, man. What's up with you?
Nothing, man. Just wearing the new Man United kit, the third kit that I got before it was released, but I'll leave it at that. It is released now. You guys can pick one up.
It's actually nice, but it's like, it's blue. So it's confusing. Like, why did Man U make a blue kit?
They've traditionally always had a blue kit. They've always
I'm okay with the blue. What threw me off is the neon green like highlighter.
This is actually yellow, but maybe my lighting isn't picking it up as well as it could have.
Yeah,
but like compared to like the Manchester yellow, like I'm like, it seems kind of odd.
It is actually, if you look at the yellow here, you'll notice it's the same yellow. It's a little bit lighter, but it's if you look at Kushi's shirt, the Superman logo yellow, it's in fact that yellow. I'll try to fix my lighting here or my filters for the video to make the lighting more normal.
That's okay.
No, it doesn't work.
Let's make it a big subject of debate. What kind of yellow it is.
Yeah, let me know in the comments. What kind of yellow would you call this kind of yellow? Anyways, we'll leave it at that.
I was gonna say you could just put a garbage bag on. The same thing as wearing that team's jersey, right?
No,
that's pretty accurate. It's very equivalent.
Yes,
I just wanted to say that's a trigger.
Liverpool won a Premiership title with Gerrard.
Some like might consider that also like the garbage bag more comfortable, actually.
Yeah, they might, but that's where they belong, in the garbage bag. Anyways,
I'm just here to put gasoline on the fire. That's all I'm here for. I know nothing.
Malik's that guy who shows up in any sort of situation when there's like a rage or like a conflict and just pours gasoline on it. And he's like, I just want to see what happens. I just want to.
He's a sociopath, like the Joker.
He is the Joker, even though he says he's the captain, but he's the Joker. Anyways,
yeah.
So, what did you guys do? Let's go around and let's a little bit talk about it. Other than shit talking other sports teams and stuff, which we do on the regular. That's just something we do, guys. We could, if I didn't stop there, we would have kept going. But Malik, we'll start with you. What are some things you did during the pandemic that perhaps you didn't do before, or what did you do to sort of keep sane and busy? Like things were shut down.
I ended up purchasing stuff and made a home gym, and it worked out way too much, and now my clothes don't fit. But the good thing is,
prove it.
Get jacked, brother. Get jacked.
The good thing though is I've kept with it, so
that's good.
Even in the past, like I've gone on these like workout like binges, but like it's been consistent. I've been eating better. I've been watching like my supplement intake. Like I'm not doing crazy amount of like supplements. It's just like basic protein. But I think for me, that's really cool that it started as like, I have nothing to do. Work is still going on, but like I still have like time at home. So I started working out, and it's funny because it started off with me like just working out with like milk jugs and like filling pillowcases with like random weights that I had at home, and now I have like a full setup. So
dude, you were doing the whole Rocky vibe.
Yeah. Started from the bottom, and now my shirts don't fit.
Wow. Copyright strike right there.
Well,
Almost.
that's pretty awesome. Actually,
Let's hear. Let's see the guns, man. Pull them out. Whip them out.
I don't know. I don't know if YouTube is ready for it though. You know,
Just whip it out. You whip one out, I'll whip one out. That sounds wrong, but if you guys are listening, it's about our muscles. Whip one out.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. 27-inch pythons.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Those are my 27-inch pythons, brother.
It's actually 24-inch pythons.
I know. It's 24.
Yeah.
And he also prayed and took his vitamins daily.
Every day. But the thing is cool. Yeah, Malik, we can derail this really quick because I think we're all in like a little bit of a mood today. But yeah, so you actually got productive and got your health back on. I remember back when we were making Tada and all, you were really into the gym and doing that sort of stuff. And you were all #gains, but you're back. You're back. And you're actually training for the WWE. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's me and Kush we're gonna do a run in here. We don't want to spoil it, but we're gonna be under masks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of the Bollywood Bros, will be the Bollywood Bros?
I was gonna say something else, but I can't.
The Millwoods boys.
Millwoods
Bros.
Dungers.
I like that. I wrote it in the chat. Yeah. You guys can read it. But that's good. What else, Malik, though? So that's a little bit about your physical health. You got that kind of back in shape. How did that affect you? Like, how do you feel after that compared to before it?
I feel like the biggest thing for me is the consistency. Just like, yeah, I know I can lift heavy and do all that stuff. I've done that before, but being able to do it over the span of a year and a half now, and my Apple Watch also tells me that I've consistently done it. It's nice.
Thanks, Steve Jobs.
Yeah. The other side of the coin for me was getting into activities that would occupy my time, but also slow down my time.
Yeah.
Because like you talked about, like getting stir crazy, that was like, there's only so many video games and so much Among Us and so much Twitch that you can watch and play. So I started, it's an old thing I used to do when I was like a teenager, was building model cars.
Yeah.
So that was something I started doing intentionally because it was like, well, I feel stir crazy, so let's do the opposite of that and find something that's very meticulous and very slow paced that would kind of help me relax. Even I would throw on music. I would throw on like a season of The Simpsons or Frasier and just have that playing in the background.
Frasier's dope, by the way.
Frasier's great.
Such an underrated show. Continue.
But yeah, just have that on in the background while I'm like painting, gluing, whatever. And also like I'm not very good with like arts and crafts stuff, like stuff with my hands. We've talked about like wrapping wires, building tables, not my thing. So like doing this like intricate work and like putting little pieces together, it was a fun challenge. Frustrating at times.
It's a funny picture if somebody's just listening to the podcast. Imagine a hulked up Malik, big and like buff, trying to put these little tiny pieces together, kind of like trying to play with a little toy mouse, like, oh, hello, little mouse. But he looks like this big hulking guy. He's clearly the captain. But that's cool, Malik. I used to build model cars back in grade 8, and they were definitely a nice getaway. I don't know how to put it into better words than that.
You just lose track of time, essentially, right? It's just like you don't worry about anything. You're focused on like, okay, I gotta like do this, and then I gotta do this. But
I actually did that more recently, like in like 2012 or so, with a lot of Star Wars Lego. And it's a similar, it just takes you away. I don't know how to put it better than that. Anybody who does it will know, but yeah, you're actually building something. So your focus is 100% there. And you can listen to other things like podcasts like our show or things like that while you're doing it. Try it out with Pardesi Beats Unplugged. What about you, Kushi?
Well, there was a lot that I did, but I don't know if Malik's like done. Kind of like all his kind of stuff that he was doing.
That's pretty much.
We'll take turns and we'll go back and forth.
Yeah.
But
yeah, sure.
The question was, what did you do that you didn't do before? Kind of like, so I know there's a lot you did that you obviously did for a while, but anything different or new or?
Well, no, I mean, like even with like physical fitness stuff, because like we've talked in the past a little bit about like stuff we've done in pandemic, but like I was never as committed to like physical fitness. So like Malik talked about doing weights. Mine was more so like I was out almost like, I wasn't working as well. So like that's a big thing to also take note. So I had a lot of freedom in terms of like time. But I was out almost every day, biking or walking, running, just and workouts in like the open field, right? So like that, because that was and it's weird because like I could do that any summer or whatever, but just ironically enough, like it worked out. It was this summer, COVID or not. I just feel like mentally, this was like the summer I was like, I didn't pick this summer, but it's just like the time when I was like, hey, I'm gonna do these things, right? And it's just kind of a coincidence that it lined up with COVID. So and I didn't really.
No, continue.
Yeah, I was gonna say this wasn't in my life before in terms of consistency of like putting in work on a physical fitness level. So like that was pretty different. And then like that feeling you get when you're like, you just feel it, right? Like you get those endorphins, that dopamine, like you feel good. You just feel solid, or you like even at like your worst, you just feel like you feel pretty content, right? So, like you don't get those feelings when you're not really doing much in terms of physical fitness. So it's like.
So then you did start working eventually. We'll leave it at that. But then, how did you continue these sort of things, or did you?
I definitely have cut down now. Like this summer has been. It's been really challenging because like with work, everyone knows who does like a typical 9 to 5 or like some people are good after work, but like I feel like pretty damn drained.
Brain dead or physical?
It just translates to both. Like mentally I'm okay, but then I just like physically I'm just so tired. Like I don't want to do anything. So it's like you have to really kind of push yourself. And there's probably like better patterns or habits I could do. Like if I woke up like an hour earlier and like went for a run before work or something like that, like I think that would be like super awesome. But then also it's like I like to stay up late and then like catch up on like videos or something. Or like Malik talked about like watching Twitch, like that didn't get old for me. Like I love like consuming media like that. Like I'm kind of on the like not super on the pulse, but on the pulse enough for like modern day media and like consuming that kind of stuff. Like Twitch has like been always a huge thing for me. Because video games like have always been kind of my life. So like that realm and that world just always was easy for me to kind of slip into. And then so like I'm gonna tie it into kind of like one thing that I wanted to get back into, which was playing video games. More because like I played multiplayer games like with some friends here and there, but my focus was really trying to get on like one single player games and get back into like those crazy stories. Because those crazy stories like in those single player games are like they really just take you so many different places, right? So if like a well made game and has like a really well played out story, like you can it can affect you in so many different ways. Like I still remember all like those childhood games from like Super Nintendo or Nintendo 64 or even PS2 or whatever, right? Like so a lot of those games are like entrenched in my memory and I'm still going back to them because I'm still like listening to those. My Spotify playlist is like video games, you know what I mean? Like, so I have all these old school games and it just takes me down like memory road, which is weird, but like it was like, I feel like it was like an important part of my life. So yeah. So I don't know. That was pretty interesting. And then like outside of the video games, in terms of like a social aspect, like that like stayed in place for me because we just transitioned online. And like would hop on like like Discord's like a pretty popular
platform.
I'd say like mostly it was used for people who like are doing games or have like a community, like influencers like YouTubers or Twitch streamers, and then they can like kind of, it's really easy to coordinate their
connect with your fans and stuff,
their subscribers or whatever. But it's like it's really good for like just chilling as well, because you just like we would just like hop on, one person would share their screen, watch a movie, we all just talk shit over watching the movie. You're just having a good laugh, those kind of things. So
are you one of those
interactive that way?
Movies?
Not in the theater, but when you're watching with your friends, you're watching the movie just to make fun of it. So generally, or just to shoot the shit. So yeah, it was good. Like we did a lot of that and played a lot of video games online and just talked to each other as well. So
that's not bad. So for these kind of things, you just didn't really do too much before, or you just kind of modified things?
The major thing that you could say I didn't do before was the physical fitness, like commitment to like putting in that much work,
Yeah.
because I haven't ever put in that much work, and like I definitely reaped like the benefits. I think the biggest thing for me was that I kind of gained out of that. Obviously, you're like there's physical benefits and mental benefits, but I think the number one thing just out of all the benefits you could get was mental toughness.
Yeah.
And that would be from like the hikes I did, and like lots of failures there too,
Endurance and stuff,
which really just kind of builds you up. And then the other thing would be just getting more into putting my own time into playing video games back to kind of like I spent too much, like a very unhealthy amount, but then that's really just who I am. So that's just like, oh, what's your hobbies? It has to be like that stuff, right? So nerdy stuff. Yeah. So that's like those are two like kind of like the main things that I
that's pretty cool.
did a bit more time in.
So those are things
plus,
you always sort of liked, right?
Yeah. I mean, we added some new stuff voluntarily and not really my choice, more so your choice. And my puppy's choice, right? So you guys had a kid, so that was
you also added something by your choice.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Like one thing. So then that's a puppy that he's referring to. So like that was like a newborn puppy, like 8 weeks old when we brought him home. So that's been tough, but like really rewarding now, because like those initial phases were like, oh my God, dude. Like it's so I don't know, anyone who's a puppy owner obviously know what I'm saying. And then people like who want to own a puppy, like or get a dog, whatever, I'd say like, yeah, absolutely. Like, it's totally worth it. But realistically,
beginning's hard, right? So when you buy a puppy,
gotta, like,
or adopt a puppy, you get them when they're younger. It's way more work, but it's way more, I guess you can say, worth it.
Yeah, long term.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a thing that happened in the pandemic. Like people really looked like they're like, well, I don't have anything to do. Let me get a pet. And I know for me, I was like, I don't have anything to do. What can I get? But like I have allergies to dogs and cats. So I'm like, hedgehogs, tortoises. Like I researched like whatever I could.
Saw a hedgehog in the river valley the other day. First time in my life. Well, first time in my adult life. I could have got it for you. You should have told me.
But it was like, I think that's a very common thing that a lot of people experience during the pandemic, and like it's been researched. It's just like pandemic pets.
Yeah, it's kind of like cabin fever, but it's like boom for 2 years, right? And so that's kind of cool.
Well,
like
it worked out because like people were working from home, right? Like it's not like, oh, we wanted to bring a dog home just because it's a pandemic. Like the thoughts kind of manifested themselves now. No, like we've talked about it for a long time, like amongst us siblings and stuff that. And then let's be real, like I'll be honest with you guys, like there's always like there's always a struggle with like when you're living in a Punjabi household, you're still with your family, so like the parents angle of like, hey, no, right? So
much work.
Yeah, like there's a lot of
and then it's like challenge. That meme. It's like the meme. Like you get the pet, and then the parents are the one that spend more time with it than you do.
Well, it is what happened, right? In a way.
Yeah.
Partially forced, partially because Cushion is working and stuff.
That's adorable.
Yeah, but you know what? Like that.
Yeah, it's just like another life form. Literally, like how do you not? Unless you're an absolute garbage human being, like straight up. Like it's like hard not to love like another like cute little fluffy thing. So
especially when I was a baby, when you first got it, like they're so different when they're babies. They even change their appearance, or their appearance changes, I should say. But
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So like one kind of thing I did, well, obviously I couldn't really. So for me, I'll go into my part. The pandemic was a little different for me, and it wasn't a pandemic baby that we had. Obviously, we had a baby. If you guys are avid viewers or listeners, you've seen my son on the show a few times, if you're a viewer. But, I mean, that happened right when the lockdown started. Soon after that, he was conceived, or soon before that, whatever. And then he was born soon after. So right when the pandemic sort of created the lockdown, I was working from home. I wasn't really doing much, but I did go out and do something I've been wanting to do for a long time. And I bought a bike and I started biking. It wasn't anything crazy. It was just down the street, going to my, family's house, like where Kushi lives, and back over where I am, about 20-minute bike ride. But it was good. It was nice. And I wanted to do that for such a long time. I bought a decent bike so I could take it if I wanted to in sort of trails and things. but also at the same time, it wasn't that expensive that I can't just ride it on the road. Now, here's the thing. I haven't been able to do that this summer, and that's because now I'm a dad, right? So I've been busy, and I really want to get back on the bike, and I found a way to do it now that my son's a little older.
I was gonna say, I remember when I was a kid, there was always like the dads that would have the carrier behind their bike with their kid in it. So like,
Yeah.
no excuses for you now.
I wouldn't do that yet, but I will do that soon. I will be doing that.
Yeah.
And I might do it, not the one in the back. I'll probably put the one on the front, just because then my arms can hold the baby in place. Well, I'm saying the baby. His name is Himmat Singh. But so in case if I fall or something, then I can kind of grab Himmat and, so he doesn't get hurt. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I always wanted to do that since I was maybe, I guess, junior high school. Like I stopped kind of riding my bike. And they'd be sitting in our garage collecting dust. And eventually we just tossed them or donated them or whatever we did. I attempted this a few years ago. I bought another bike, didn't touch it. It ended up being not the best bike. So I had to take it back to the store. I had to exchange it. All they had left was like a teenage sized bike. So I grabbed it because I had no option. Tried riding it. It was a little small, but whatever. So I have it, right? And
which I had to use.
What do you want to say? What do you want to say? Go for it.
Which I had to use when I started biking last year. Like I took that out because that was left over at our place. And that was tough to ride because it's just like big old me sitting on this small bike. My knees are just like
imagine an elf on a bike. Those old
so it was pretty tough riding that one, but it's still here. So I mean, if any small folks want to ride it, it's there. Yeah, because you're like you just said your bike was decent. You have a pretty nice bike right now. Like you spent a solid. It's if you want to talk like legit, if you're talking about biking, it's the absolute entry level. But in terms of like casual riders, like which most people like have been doing since like the pandemic, it's a pretty solid. It's a really solid bike. Yeah.
I would say it's like, let's say there was 10 steps to like legit bikes people who go biking in the mountains. I'd say this is step 2. It's not the basic. It's sort of like in there. It's probably be like, step 2 or 3. But yeah, for sure.
For like in terms of like actual mountain biking, like it's probably level 1 or But then when you took like Edmonton has some really awesome bike trails and everything. Really like so it works perfect for in city.
That's why that was my intention. Is like, we'll go through Mill Creek Ravine. There's a ravine by where you are. Things like that. We'd go in there and just, nothing crazy, right? Like I'm an old man now. I don't want to break my knees. So anyways, it's been sitting there since last summer into this summer, just getting dusty and spiderwebby. So I'm going to have to hose it down and just jump back on it. Now, my son is old enough that I can actually, he doesn't physically need me to support him all the time, right? Like first you have to like pick him up because they're little jelly beans that wiggle around, and now he's kind of sitting and chilling, so I don't have to like hold him for everything, right? So now I can kind of go and do those things and not be an extension of him. So that's one thing. The other thing is we all collectively took this podcast into a podcast format from our radio time, more so in the recent few months, but we used to be on radio and we used to do Monday night Pardesi Beats Power Play and just the regular Pardesi Beats music show, which I actually miss now. I miss it because it's been so long without the music. Music's a huge part of me and Malik, and I think we love doing it, but that's fine. We can't do it on YouTube because of copyrights. SoundCloud, on the other hand, is foreshadowing. This was nice, like to sit down with the boys over Zoom and do a Pardesi Beats Unplugged was really nice and refreshing. I always kind of wanted to take my personal sort of creative side into the podcast world, and we did it collectively. And I got to do it personally too with another project that I produced for another entity here in Edmonton, which, I mean, hey, no point in hiding it. It's called the eCamp Podcast. You guys can check it out. ECAMP. eCamp Podcast. Check it out on all the podcasts. Malik will pop it up on the screen for you guys. And so I produced that. It was really cool. And a lot of Edmonton history on there. So shout out to those guys. Really cool sort of initiative. So I got to do a lot of creative things, but I didn't get to do too many physical things because I'm a dad now. However, at the beginning, I went for walks all the time. I loved it. It was nice. So the common theme I'm getting here, just kind of stop talking about myself, but tie it back to you two, and I guess a lot of people, is that things that people always wanted to do that they'd put off started to come into fruition for a lot of people, not just us. And I think the pandemic, the lockdown element of it, or working from home element of it, whatever which terminology you want to use, kind of aided in that. And I think there's a lot of blessings in disguise for a lot of people in that regard. What do you guys think?
I find it interesting because for the first bit of the pandemic, I wasn't working from home. I was actually going into the radio every single day.
At the station, you were there.
But I was still kind of able to build that routine of what a workout would look like. And now that I'm working from home in a different field, it's still the same. So I feel like the pandemic afforded me the opportunity to be curious about what I wanted to be curious about, but it also allowed me the opportunity to build a routine and figure out what works for me in whatever form it is and whatever is going on in my life. So I can
a little bit of trial and error with it.
Yeah, now I can adapt to like whatever happens. Like if things change, I'm like, oh, I know how to work it around my schedule.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool because, a lot of people, we used to talk about this on air, but if you're sort of a more recent viewer, listener, or you are one of those people, maybe you didn't know this, but Malik was one of the only ones allowed to be at the World FM station at that time. And so everybody else, except for one person, was at home broadcasting. I'm lucky enough to have the audio equipment because I was already in that field to be able to record my shows. And then sometimes when we did Pardesi Beats Power Play, Malik would be there producing it and hosting on his end, and we'd be on Zoom with him. And we had to, we got creative. We had to play around and come up with some ideas, but we did. But one cool kind of concept, and I want to hear you guys take on this. I don't want to go down this avenue because it'll sort of sidetrack everything. But have you guys kind of had this thought where it's like, hey, like, did I ever really have to go into work? I could have just done all this or elements of my work at home, or, like, why do I have to trek all the way there? One thing I was thinking about yesterday was like, I didn't have to, like, a lot of people are just driving to downtown, driving back unnecessarily for certain jobs, not all jobs. And it was just sort of a thing. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was putting up my hand up because I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
So I was able to experiment with this before the pandemic because my schooling was online. And I found out very quickly that if I don't separate work or school from home, it's impossible for me to do anything.
Yeah.
So that's why now that I'm working from home, I have my office space, which is a completely different side of the house. I have to actually go down multiple flights of stairs through multiple doors to finally get here.
12 flights of stairs.
If I didn't have to do that, like I would be the most unproductive vegetable in the world.
I remember. Sorry, go ahead.
No, as for me, I need to have that differentiation of like working from home, and I learned that from school because of like my online schooling. Like I could have easily fallen behind if I didn't purposely like find like a space or ended. I went to campus a couple of times as well during that time just to like break the cycle of like the monotony of going down to the office space and studying.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, with my other job, I saw, we do a lot of meetings too, even the podcast, right? We did a lot of our meetings on Zoom. And it was cool to see that at the beginning, people were just kind of in their bedrooms or on the dinner table or something.
Yeah.
And how it transitioned for not everybody, but some people, for them to actually set up a space. And I think, having been in university, I could never study at home. I couldn't. I just couldn't. Not if I actually intentfully wanted to do it. I'd have to leave the house, go to Starbucks or a coffee shop. I didn't go to U of A for any of my post-secondary, for any sort of paperwork at least, meaning degrees or diplomas. I would actually go there when I was doing my audio engineering and just be in that MedSci library, whatever it was called. I don't even know. And I'd be in there studying for, like sine waves, cosine waves, and things like that for audio engineering. And I didn't even go there. And so to get out of the house and get a different space away from your element or distractions, I think is huge. And especially with working from home too.
Yeah, the few like pretty interesting stuff you guys have said, because like I kind of it was funny for me, like I got hired during the pandemic. And like my nature of work that deals with like a lot of confidential files and like it's a lot of actual not digital stuff. So
Tell us about it.
a lot of paper and hand documents. So I never got to work from home ever since like a lot of the lockdowns and those things, and when COVID.
Hey, do you get good benefits working at CSIS? Oh snap! Sorry, man. Never mind. Just kidding. He doesn't work for CSIS. I do.
Yeah, he works for the FBI. He's actually American.
Yeah. Now people are going to be wondering, like, what if these guys actually...
I don't even know what the hell to say to that. I'm just like, what? Just like, okay.
Throwing people off their game. But yeah, go on. Yeah.
It's
So
like
you have
one
to
of
work
those things
with
I can't
confidential
improv off of you with. Yeah. Anyways, like, yeah, working with like those documents, and then I was getting trained, so they were like, no, everyone has to kind of be in the office.
Yeah.
So like I went opposite from like that freedom, because I used to work remotely from home before all COVID as
at a
well.
different job, yeah.
Yeah, and like so when Malik was like he needs to get out of the house, I could not, like, this is something I found out about myself like a long time ago, like in university days, where it's like I cannot get shit done at home, period. Like it's just everything at home is like a comfort and a distraction almost, like, right? It's like, oh, my PlayStation's right there, my Xbox, whatever, right? Like so just the ways to not focus, that was kind of like what the house was to me. Like I didn't get too much stuff done here. So for me, I always had to get out. Like with university, I was at U of A as well, studying Cameron Library, lots of late nights there, because that was like one of the only places that was open 24/7, Cameron basement. And then even with like the work, or sorry, with my work, like when I was working remotely before COVID and all this, like I just went to Starbucks like every time because I needed to get out. Because if I didn't get out, like I really just knew that nothing was getting done. Like I had my
something
office.
at Starbucks, or just walk in and start working?
No, I would always get like a coffee or something, and maybe just food sometimes.
I was trying to
like
throw you off. Good job. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I don't want to like go use a place and not get anything, which I know some people do. But like their Wi-Fi is good. That's why I usually chose Starbucks.
Yeah.
They actually have solid Wi-Fi. Like if you go to Timmy's, man, you're out of luck. Like you're not getting anything done.
You're paying $8 for a beverage at Starbucks. You get free Wi-Fi with that beverage. Technically, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah,
you're getting better Wi-Fi and better coffee. So
are you though?
Yeah, but I don't.
I mean, Timmy's, compared to Timmy's,
yeah.
It's not like I even cared about the coffee or anything ever like that ever. I'm just like, hey, I'll just put this into my body just so I can sit here and get work done or whatever. But yeah, so then like transitioning into going into work, going into downtown like every day, that whole commute, that's where I went like flip mode, and like now half of my day is like, dedicated to work, including a commute and stuff. So like that, I still haven't figured this whole scheduling thing out, right? Like it's still been a challenge, like in terms of me being a little bit more structured with my fitness and stuff, right? And then plus like the lockdowns really didn't help, because like I had consistency going to the gym, and I felt that the gym was a pretty safe, like the one I went to was really done really well in terms of spacing and like how they handled COVID. So I felt comfortable when it was open, and because of all the limitations. But like now that, so like in Alberta, man, like everything opened up, like there's no restrictions, and we can see now like we're having issues with our cases, like pretty strong issues. But like I don't know, like I don't know if I feel ready to go to the gym. You know what I mean? Like I know like we're kind of supposed to trust like the vaccines and stuff if you chose to get vaccinated, which I did, and so it leads to a lot of like questions as well. Like can I get back onto like a track of where I want to, like my goals for like physical fitness, for example, or to achieve this. So yeah, it's like
the interesting thing now is also with winter, like summer, it's okay because you can go out, bike, hiking, whatever it is. But now it's like in Alberta and Edmonton, especially, winter's going to hit really soon. And then it's like, well, I'm definitely not going hiking or biking in minus
winter
30 degrees.
Is coming.
Yeah. And I had that problem last winter when they're like the first kind of, when that giant wave came and everything shut down, because I was going to the gym like every day, but then boom, we got locked out or whatever, like rightfully so, but still. And then that seasonal depression hit, right? It's just like, oh, I can't, and you can't do anything because we had a really good winter.
Yeah.
Like we had a good winter in terms of like temperature and like how much it snowed. It was really good. And I did, like, I actually did, like, I rented a cabin and all these things. Like, so, but then like when you're talking about like, yeah, -20, -30, you can't do shit.
The
like,
CIA cabin, right?
Yeah, CIA, sure.
No, but you know what?
MIA.
Why are people? Why are people so? And I get it, but like I'm just trying to provoke some thought and perhaps push people a little bit. Like why is everybody so like? I know it's icy, but why can't you go play in the snow or go find some winter activities? We're a perfect for it, right?
The older
I'm
you
still,
get, you're not. No one's down to deal with that.
No,
Okay,
man,
like,
just go run around in the snow. You people go running.
You do it first, and you show us. You record us. No one wants to like be cold anymore. I used to be like that. Where I was like,
I
don't
know
care.
a
I'm
video
ready,
because
like-
you're just frolicking Pat frolicking in the snow in his front yard, like
right there in
Yo,
that.
I'm too
cabinet,
old for
I have
that.
these like -50 winter shoes, and I had that with the intent that hey, I'm gonna go walk around in wintertime too.
I'm gonna stick to my defense.
I have the gear.
I'm
Like,
an
I've done
indoor
hikes in
cat.
winter.
I don't outdoors.
Yeah.
I don't outdoors at all in the summer or the winter.
Malik
so.
has confirmed he's a cat.
Yeah.
Malik, right behind you on the darker wall. I think you need a Felix the cat with that.
That'd be sick. The clock, yeah.
Yeah. The
Well,
other
one
thing is
thing-
like you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like wintertime. Like what really frustrated me with COVID was finally getting back into hockey. I took like 2 years off,
Yeah.
and then me and Kush, we got our team ready. Everybody's ready to pay. Everything's ready to go. Season's ready, and COVID. And then with the paranoia of COVID too, we're like, even though they're opening up again, we'd rather not play. But I was like, bought a new helmet, bought new equipment, like ready to go. I'm so hyped, and then it's like, well,
Yeah.
Well, I actually was playing on another team, and somebody on the team got COVID.
Scary.
And they were at the game. So like I was like, dude, like I was so paranoid. I was so shook. I was so angry too. I was like, yo, this asshole, this and that. Like he came to the game. And we all got tested on the team. One other guy tested positive, but everyone else was okay. And I don't know if that other guy got it from this other fellow. We can't really say anything. Like he may have got it for some other interactions, but like that was scary, man. Like that was stressful.
But that's what I'm looking forward to now. Like as things are like calming down or things are getting back to normal, getting back and playing hockey. That's gonna be
like
one thing.
I'm signed up for a team, so like we'll see if the
see what happens.
But that's like
You guys ever played soccer in the snow? I'm gonna leave it there. Just try
maybe
it.
when I was young. I don't know.
Knocker. Yeah, try it, man. It's awesome. That's a winter
Football,
sport right there. Yeah, football too. Yeah. The thing is, like, I think people, like, when we were kids, I remember when I was a kid, I used to run around in the snow, play, do all these cool things. I know we can't really, technically, maybe we don't look good doing it nowadays, but, man, I encourage adults to go outside and play. I don't care. You got to do it.
It's like
go tobogganing, or Pat.
It's like the old soul took over my heart, and it's just like, no, we are gonna stay inside and be warm.
It's too cold. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
No, but I feel that too, man. Like when I was a kid, I used to go out in like whatever. Now I need like warm shoes, warm boots.
Yeah, but now we're old ass Bunday, man.
Yeah,
we're
man.
not kids.
Yeah, but man, that's how we
We're
get
all young adults
playing in the snow. Have you heard of William Hoff? That's all I'll say.
Well, elaborate because I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Will Hoff is this guy. You can YouTube him. A lot of people know who he is, and he's very. He has a nickname called the Iceman. And what this guy does is he can actually go in ice water or be in winter just hiking in his shorts, and he is very, very like apt at doing it. And they've tested his blood. They've put him under laboratory experimentation, and he just knows how to sort of push those boundaries. He can like go underwater in ice water for like long periods of time and hold his breath. He's a pretty cool guy. So, I mean, go to his YouTube and get some tips and get out there. Get out there, man. But you know what, though? Honestly, like I know winter.
I think I did hear about like I've never seen this guy's videos, but I've heard about like mental, like he pushes himself like all these mental.
It's all in the head type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's a great sort of perspective to have if you want to go out and do winter things. I had a colleague and a friend He's still a colleague and a friend. But when I went to university with him, he used to ride his bike every day in winter. And there was
I
times
thought
when
about it.
no, like this guy had the gear, he had the
Yeah.
parka, he had his bike equipped, and he would ride his bike around in wintertime. There was times where he was just tired, not to bike, just tired. And he'd be like, "Yo, can I throw my bike in your truck and can you drop me home?" And I would, because why not, right? But this guy used to bike to university, and the distance to drive between where he lived and the university to drive was at least 20-25 minutes. So imagine the bike ride, probably about an hour and a half, and he did it in winter, no problems. So
Yeah, like when I see those people, man, it's just like that's like a tough ask. You're committed, and like because biking a lot, like I know what that kind of like entails, especially
yeah,
for making that commitment in winter with having the winter tires, and then the other like thing that like throws me off with like doing those type of rides, like commute rides, it's like, are you safe on the paths, like the streets,
the choice you've made to go where you are you safe? Yeah,
exactly. Like I purchased a bike cage key from my place, so I have access to like the bike cages anytime now. Like I can ride to work if I want to, which I haven't done yet, but like I have like thought about doing it. Like in the summer, it's not a problem, right? There's a path like stays off the roads. I can get to downtown. I could do that ride probably in an hour, so it shouldn't be a
yeah.
problem, right?
And the cool thing is, if you're biking Edmonton Transit, some buses will let you take your bike on.
Yeah, they have bike racks, right? So they can do
Yeah.
that. But the scary thing is like winter. It's like you can't really use some of those trails you would in the summer because it's like not maintained. So you have to kind of do
Yeah.
road riding, which is like that's like another thing. It's like I don't know. Then you have to like trust all those people who are probably
Road
pissed
riding,
off at you
I
in the
don't
first
think I would
place.
even go down that route, man. Because yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but I'm assuming that's what your coworker would had to have done.
eh, he would ride on the sidewalk. He wouldn't care, but there wouldn't be nobody walking by,
Well, yeah, I
right?
get like
So,
it depends where you're riding from in the city because some places don't
yeah,
have
some places don't
the
have it, and he'd
sidewalk.
jump on the. Sometimes he'd be on the street, but anyway. So
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
kind of unramble, we can keep going here. I know there's a lot, so I think it's safe to say that a lot of things we wanted to do over time, or we're hoping to do, we started to do or got back into during the pandemic. But what did you perhaps want to do that you didn't get to do yet, or is there something that you did that you feel like you're going to continue doing now? I'm going to start with Malik again because I feel like now that you set up a home gym, like you actually set the equipment up, I feel like you're going to continue, or at least have
Now
the
I
intent
never
to
now I
continue.
never have to leave my house. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Definitely, you're a cat.
That's
Introverts,
probably not a good thing. Being a homebody like I
introverts'
am.
wet dream.
Yeah.
But I think obviously exercise, but for me the biggest thing that the pandemic took away was hockey. And I guess that is still exercise, but it's like also the camaraderie because like the team that
It's different when
yeah.
sport when you're playing sports. It's not exercise.
yeah.
That's a whole
And
different vibe, man.
Yeah,
yeah,
That's like you're
especially
with
like
your friends. Yeah.
yeah, team sports, especially the team that we were playing on. It's like everybody knows each other. They're very very chilled. It's very like relaxing hockey. Depends on what's happening, but um, I think that's probably one thing I'm looking forward to getting back into. But the interesting thing with that now will be how is that going to fit in with my new work schedule, with my new exercise schedule, with model car building and all the other hobbies that I've kind of picked up on. Like, where does that fit into my puzzle now? So it'll be interesting to see.
So if
what's going
things
on.
go back to normal, are you going to have to, do you feel like you'll be giving anything up now? Like you'll have to,
I would think so. I would probably have to drop something.
yeah,
I'm not sure what it would be at this point, but I'm
the
sure there's
job,
no way.
drop the
yeah.
job.
Yeah, drop the job. Who needs work?
that's hey. I think about that all the time. I'm like,
Who
man,
doesn't, man?
This
Who
job
doesn't?
really messed me up in my schedule. I think I should just stop working.
I think the job is the problem, nothing else.
Yeah.
But I've always said low key to my friends, and I'll get back to you, Malik. I used to just say this to my friends and family. Work days, in my opinion, should be 6 hours or 4 times a week at 10 hours.
So
And that's my opinion.
yeah, I wanted to talk about this like earlier when you mentioned how like the hybrid model is kind of happening now with people choosing to work from home a bit and then maybe even working in the
And some
office.
people have the choice now, right? Which is nice.
It's happening. Like all these companies are kind of adapting. But like I went into the Youthful City Summit in 2019 here in Edmonton. It was like 40 Canadians and like 20 Edmontonians kind of met up for this summit talking about the workplace and like what they wanted to see change and stuff. And so that like around that time, like there was a lot of discussion around like why are we tied into coming into the office and so with like everything being so digitalized, like how can we not have adapt, right? Like why are we still using these like kind of practices and what did we want to see change? And like a lot of the conversation was around like why is the conventional 9 to 5 work time in place, and then why are we all driving into the office and like commuting, polluting the environment by doing so, like especially in Edmonton where transit it actually loses you time. So like there's like a big asterisk as to like you may probably not wanting to take transit. Like I won't want to. It's an hour long. I know it's like obviously helpful for the environment, but it's an hour to get to my destination, an hour back. That's 2 hours commute. Like I'm not doing that. Whereas driving is definitely half of that. So like I think that's interesting because like COVID forced those kind of adaptations for the workplace. And like I still don't see all the companies like fully committing to that because I just think there's a fear also of like, oh, we're gonna lose like we've paid all this money invested into like office space, rentals, all those things. It's like if we don't have people in there, it's just a waste of that money. So it's like little things and barriers that are challenges that different
companies actually shut their offices down and made smaller ones and things like that during this time. So.
Yeah, or like there's like a lot of like in Edmonton like shared office spaces that you could rent out just a cubicle or something, right? Like there's a lot of different options, but it's cool to see like that COVID force some of these like, things.
I think it opened the door for like companies like you said, it forced them, but it forced them to like figure out how do I even work remotely? Like there's like jobs that you be like, I can't work remotely. Even like when let's talk about the radio, because that's kind of what we experienced. It was like, how are we going to do radio shows remotely? Aside from like pre-recording and whatever.
We had to get creative. Yeah.
We figured out a way, but I think the pandemic afforded the opportunity to these companies to figure out what that model would look like working remotely. Now what'll be interesting is like, how do they implement that? Because with any business, they're going to look at the business side of it, like costs and all that stuff, like you said. So like, what is that hybrid model going to look like in the near future, but also like 5-10 years down the line? Like, what is that going to look like? And what is like, is it going to be a 9 to 5 or like our work day is going to completely change now? It'll be really interesting to see.
Yeah. And that's what I think it is, the scheduling. Go ahead, Kush.
Well, that's like a major thing. It's like people's lives are so different, right? Like there should be a lot more flexibility in how that kind of works, especially like even you touched on like how many hours a day you work. Like, let's be real. There's in an 8-hour day, you're only productive for a certain amount of time. There's like been studies and all this stuff about this kind of like, how effective it is to actually work that long. But then the other cool thing you like is that like, the technology's there, man. Like it's like I know there's a lot of pressure when you're working to you're swamped and you're busy because you're always working on what you have in front of you. Something new comes in place. Like you're just always just kind of working on just doing jobs or taking clients or whatever it is. But like that investment into technology and like learning how to improve in that way, I just don't think that happens enough, which is like so much of these technologies been around for so long, like how this could have happened a long time ago. So I don't know. I just be nice to see companies. People are worried so much about like what's kind of like affecting their bottom line, like their dollar. It's like they kind of lose sight of like if you invest in these things, like you can find a lot more. You can find people who are going to be probably happier in their job, more content because they have more flexibility to do whatever fits their schedule, right? Yeah. So like there's different aspects that isn't just the money, but you're also like your morale for your workforce and different things. But yeah, anyway, it's kind of a random ramble.
No, but it's very true because we have to look at things like that right now. Is like, let's say, okay, for example, the other podcast I've been working on, none of us were in a shared space. None of us ever physically actually met each other, other than those people that knew each other from before. We all met online. We did our, with a podcast, they did their parts, and then I put it all together as the producer of it. But the thing was, we didn't need to see each other, and we haven't seen each other. And the season is over now, and the final episode is going to be published on the 21st, and that's it. So
yeah, and like, don't get me wrong, there's like it's totally different to be in the same space and like interact with people. Like, you can't really replicate that feeling at all, like remotely.
Yeah, you can't.
So that's why I like the hybrid model, whereas you go and maybe a couple
exactly.
days.
But if there's space to now be in person, but also on days where you're not feeling that productive, you have the ability to work from home in whatever format or whatever schedule.
Yeah, it's like sometimes like, why do I even need to go into the office, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially for like project based that's done on a computer, that either you can take a work computer with you and all you need is internet, or log in and do stuff. Especially
this obviously doesn't translate to every industry. Like,
definitely not.
But like, it's like
definitely not the healthcare industry, not nurses. You know what I mean? You can't work from home with every industry.
Yeah.
Those critical ones.
And especially when you try to piss them off as a province and offer them or tell them to take pay cuts.
Don't do that to the people that can save your lives, is all I got to say. That's my personal opinion. Regardless, I'll share that openly with anybody.
Yeah, that was definitely open shade.
Yeah, open shade.
On my part.
Yeah. That's. I think that.
Yeah, agreed.
But you know what? Having said that, and the sake of time, let's begin to wrap up by just kind of asking everybody once, what is it that you didn't get to do? Was there anything that you wanted, like, hey, like now I can maybe go and do these things that you didn't get to do, and you're also either are or aren't afraid that you might not get the chance now that things are getting back to normal?
Right. I have a very stupid answer to this, so I'm going to go first and derail this whole conversation. So, like I said earlier, for me to work from home, I have to have that separation of like I'm going into my office space. So for me, I would always dress up like I'm going to work in the office. So I'd wear my collared shirt, dress pants, and my slippers, which was not like the opposite. But for me now, like when I would go shopping, the sales
Mr.
were
Rogers
crazy.
would be proud. Mr. Rogers would be proud.
The sales were unreal. Like I would get dress shirts, golf shirts, like sweaters, like dirt cheap. Now things are going back to normal, and there's not going to be these crazy sales. Now I'm sad about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? We can go into it spin off with that, but Kush, go ahead, and then I'll try to say my part, and then we'll see if we have time to jump into Malik's little thing there.
I feel like there's a lot that I still want to do and accomplish. Like, I didn't do a lot of things during the pandemic either. Like a lot of people said like they worked on so many different things, but like my kind of focus was on like the physical aspect, which I spent a lot of time on, and then also a little bit of like the personal satisfaction, I guess, of like doing the video game kind of angle.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so that was like
leisure stuff.
Yeah, leisure, and then like the fitness thing. Those were like two huge things, but there was still a lot of just normal life goals or whatever that like I didn't really address. And like even now, it's like, okay, like I still want to do those things, and like I don't, but like so there's a lot I still want to kind of still do that I didn't do during pandemic. Like I can't really give you too many specifics, but the big struggle for me is like, okay, how do I balance corporate time along with time spent with the newborn puppy? There's demands made by family members of like helping them out, or things in the house is getting old, like you just random kind of stuff, right? So like that's like my challenge, which I need to kind of like conquer, I guess. Like time management is the goal.
How to adult
thing. Yeah, how to adult better in a sense.
That works for me, and I've done it forever, and I got away from it, and I came back to it during the pandemic, partially because, or mostly because, me and my wife, we want to both do things and get things done, but we have the baby, so we have to sort of split tasks and things like that. It is a shared calendar, not just a count with your family, and or a calendar where you kind of put things. Also, a day or two that you allocate to certain things, like on this day, I don't care. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything at all. Where you're just chilling out or doing some, leisure, go shopping, just chill. It's a you day, right? And then there's a day that's like house maintenance day, right? Whether it's a lot of things to do or not. So like reoccurring days for certain things. I used to laugh that, in old sitcoms, they used to be like, it's Taco Tuesday. And back in my high school, they used to go, it's Belly Tuesday. But, those type of Tuesdays for certain days for certain things, I used to laugh at that and kind of be like, that's lame. But it actually works. It works really well. Like Sundays are family dinners or Saturdays are for, I don't know, something. So what I did is, because I worked at home, I used to split certain days for working on certain tasks, especially if you're somebody who has gigs or project-based, income. I used to work on the eCamp podcast on like Mondays and Thursdays. We do this recording on a Wednesday, whether you see it on whatever day. I used to then also do the other, shout out to Manpreet Unbox with Sings, and MH Photography, who was one of the Manpreets. But so we do that project as well, and we film bi-weekly, and then we kind of do everything, knock that all out. So it's all schedule based with a shared calendar. So anyways, having said that, I think that really helps. And or even allocating certain times in a day, like between 6 and 7 p.m. I'll go and go for a walk or just do things for my fitness, things like that.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to also
just being organized.
Not even that, or like exploring new ideas, new hobbies, new routines, right? Like if you schedule time for doing something new, you're probably more likely to do it than you are to get stuck in that monotony of 9 to 5. I'm too tired from work or whatever it is, right? You'll know, like on Saturday or when I'm not working 9 to 5, I have this few hours dedicated to this new activity that I wanted to do for a very long time that I'm not going to do, or I haven't been able to do.
Like when we were kids, we knew it's Thursday, it's SmackDown, Monday is Raw. Like we knew, like this is the day for this. I have that day aside, right? Things like that. Your favorite show comes on this day, right? Things like that. TGIF back in the day on TV used to have all those shows like Family Matters and all these other ones, right? So like that whole system, in my opinion, as a society, it works. You just have to do it for yourself as well.
Yeah, make it your own.
Yeah. And remember, the day might change as we discussed off camera, but every week, Pardesi Beats, you know it.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of a natural place to wrap up. So as Pat said, we're here every week. You can find our YouTube channel, Pardesi Beats Unplugged. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Feel free to message us on our social media, Instagram, Twitter, at Pardesi_Beats. If you have any ideas for topics you want to hear us talk about, feel free to message us. Feel free to leave it in the comments. We're more than open to talking and exploring things.
I'm going to add something. If you're somebody who's doing something that you feel is cool or unique, definitely shoot us a message, because I think we want to kind of expand into different parts of our society and community here in Edmonton and potentially in Canada or abroad. So if there's anything that's going on, maybe you want to highlight something or have us, explore something with you or bring it up, let us know and we'll let you know.
All right. Until the next episode, take care.
Keep fit and don't have fun. I can't get copywritten.